Ooh, a spicy question. I
because
love
the
it.
writing is sort of everything, right? Like you kind of can fix plot holes, but if the writing isn't
So some
there,
readers love that, and some readers are like, but I wanted more of this. So it's kind of a gamble.
Hello and welcome back to the Right and Wrong podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by two guests, the first of which is a CWA Dagger shortlisted historical crime and mystery author, and the second is the owner of the British Book Awards Independent Bookshop of the Year 2024, Bookish. It's Alice Hawkins and Emma Corfield Walters. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Hi, Jamie.
Thanks for both coming on. I know it's always difficult to organise more than one guest. It's hard enough to organise one guest, I'll tell you that.
We're here.
But thank you so much for making the time.
Oh, thank you very much for the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Let's start with just a little bit about both of you. I think probably first up we'll do Alice. Your brand new novel, The Hunters Club, is coming out on the 16th of October. Book number 3 in the Oxford Mystery Series. Tell us a little bit about the book and then the series.
So, like you say, it's book number 3 in the series. So we have our two main protagonists who we met right at the beginning of the series in A Bitter Remedy. So my books are all told through first-person narration. So we have in the red corner, we have Rhiannon, aka Non Vaughan, a young Welsh working class, brilliant person from West Wales. She comes from a seafaring family, not Admiralty seafaring, but plying up and down the coast of Ceredigion in coal barges and what have you. She is self-taught. She's a brilliant mathematician and linguist, and she has gone to Oxford to avail herself of the new opportunities for women to attend lectures and not get degrees, but actually do exams which show that, frankly, they're as good as the men. And she gets to Oxford, and because this is who she is, she will not be told no. She will not take her nose out of things that don't concern her. She gets embroiled in a mystery around the death of a young man at Jesus College, because her friend and mentor, Basil Rice, is a lecturer at Jesus College. He is my other viewpoint character. He is everything Non is not. He is middle class, he's respectable, he's very Oxford, he's quite establishment. So far, so boring, but under the surface, there's a lot going on, because Basil is gay in an era when you really, really did not want to be gay, because sexual acts by men were illegal and could see you put in jail and on hard labour. And even to be suspected of being gay was to lose your respectability and to say goodbye to any kind of promotion prospects. So these two very, very different people, friends in the books and co-conspirators, as it were, come together about halfway through this book, actually, because they're both investigating different things at the beginning. Basil has been asked by the senior proctor, the senior disciplinary officer at Oxford University, to investigate a series of attacks on undergraduates which leave them bound, gagged and hooded at the gates of their colleges at kind of in the small hours. And Basil's been asked to look into this before anything worse happens to these undergraduates. And meanwhile, Non, who has now done all her exams and has gone through the education system and is working as a part-time journalist and a part-time tutor at Somerville Hall, she is asked to clear the name of a young woman who has been thrown into jail by the Vice-Chancellor's Court at the University of Oxford, because the Vice-Chancellor's Court is having a crackdown on the fraternisation between undergraduates and the young women of the town. And she feels she's been wrongly accused of soliciting, and she wants Non to help clear her name. And because they're both working on different aspects of attacks on young people, if you like, eventually, as you would expect in a novel of this kind, the two investigations come together.
Okay, that sounds great. Sounds like there's a lot going on. Great to have two juxtaposed point of view characters so that you can sort of always see the other side.
Absolutely. And different parts of Oxford as well, because Non is very working class. She talks to the working classes, she talks to women. Basil, being the man, he gets to do all the talking to the university people and kind of more upper class men. So yeah, they cover the whole gamut, really.
Okay. Sounds great. And a few days away from us recording currently and ahead of its launch, you are going to be doing an event at Bookish, an evening with Alice Hawkins. So, seamlessly segueing over to Emma now, owner and, am I right in thinking, co-founder of Bookish?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about your bookshop.
Well, we opened on the High Street in Crickhowell in Mid Wales back in 2010. We just celebrated our 15th birthday last Saturday.
Oh, amazing.
Which, I can't believe it's been that long. It's just flown by. We started out in a small little shop with no heating, and honestly, I'd come from a completely different world. I owned a building surveying company before being a bookseller, and I barely knew what an ISBN was. And then suddenly I discovered this amazing trade with an amazing community within it, and haven't really looked back at all. It's been a wonderful journey, really. And then, we've gone on and to be really involved in our community, really rolled up our sleeves, and been part of that. But I think, we've really nurtured the bookselling community and our readers, and therefore our writers, such as Alice, who we've been working with for a good number of years now. So we have the main bookshop, which people often comment, because Crickhowell has a population of 2,000. It is a big shop for such a small population, such a small town. We've got a cafe, and we have an event space upstairs where we'll be on Monday. And then we opened a second shop 6 miles away in Abergavenny 2 years ago, which is lovely, very small, so really kind of heavily curated. We're just constantly trying to find new ways of pressing books into people's hands, new ways of getting people excited about reading, new ways to reach new audiences for ourselves, to sell more books, but also for our authors, and we take that really, really seriously. So I love it when somebody comes into the shop and says, I had somebody come in today and said, I haven't read for a long while and I really want to get back into it, but I don't know what I like because I've not read in such a long time. I really don't know what I like anymore. So I said, okay, fine. Tell me about what you've been watching on Netflix. Tell me about your favorite characters. And she said, I've been watching Happy Valley and I really love that character. It's like, right, okay, so off we go. So hopefully I sort of sent her off with a couple of books, and she'll come back. And we'll have that same conversation again. And it's really exciting, when somebody comes in and asks me for a recommendation. I'm constantly kind of jumping out from behind the tiller going, right, who needs a recommendation? Let me do my favourite part of my job. So, yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And I am a bit of an overly enthusiastic puppy from time to time when I get excited about people's books and events, and like today we've been going into local schools with Crickhowell Cowell, which was fantastic, and just trying to find new ways of working with different people. So yeah, there's an infinite amount of ideas on my shelf in the bookshop, and you can go in any direction, and I absolutely love that.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. Sounds like you're doing great as well, expanding, franchising now with the second shop. And I think all readers, there's nothing more sort of thrilling than recommending someone a book and then for them to come back and tell you how amazing it was. And you're basically ever doing that professionally. So.
I love she is.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Can I just say, as well as being an amazing support to authors and publishers, Emma is really a community champion. When COVID struck, she and her staff were hand delivering books to people. And when Crickhowell was cut off by floods, she again was at the centre of things and organising things, because that's who she is. She really
can't
cares.
help myself.
But she's absolutely brilliant. And she used to also organise the Crickhowell Literary Festival, which again, for a town of 2,000 people, was absolutely extraordinary. So she is a force of nature, Emma. Just an amazing person.
Thank you, Alice.
Very, very pleased to call her my friend.
Amazing.
Oh, likewise.
That's great. So now that we have backgrounds for both of you, I'd love to hear about the sort of the author and the bookshop events from both sides of the aisle, as it were. So you guys are friends. We've established this. I presume you guys have collaborated like this before this evening that's coming up on Monday?
Oh, sure. Yeah, lots. I mean, Emma's been kind enough to launch lots of my books. We first met when I went on a tour of every independent bookshop in Wales back in 2019, BC, before COVID, when none of us, we can all virtually not remember that time, right? But there was a time before COVID where you could do things.
Mm-hmm.
And there were, I think I went to 26 different bookshops. I got in touch with them all ahead of time and said, I'm going to come. I would, if you'd like to offer me an event, that would be great, but I'm still coming. I'm going to take a selfie and give you a proof and blah, blah, blah. And Emma was one of the dozen bookshops that did offer me an event, never having met me before, just on the basis of, well, why not? So I went to speak to the newly formed book club at Bookish in Crickhowell, which was absolutely brilliant. And one of Emma's booksellers, Amy, became a real champion for my previous series, the Tyne Valley Coroner series, and literally was hand selling them in the shop. It was just brilliant. Then I think we couldn't launch my third Tyne Valley Coroner book there because of COVID, but we did launch the fourth with you, didn't we, Emma?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've launched all the Oxford Mysteries as well, which is absolutely great. So now I've got this group of people who really like my books and who come and who know each other, and it's like a kind of it's a bit like a fan club, to be perfectly honest.
It is a fan club,
and I've become friends with lots of these people, and that's only happened with one other bookshop, and that's a bookshop where I live I used to live back in West Wales. So even though Emma's shop is not my local bookshop, it is my favourite and my most often visited bookshop because they're just so welcoming and so proactive on behalf of authors, which is, absolutely brilliant. I mean, the kind of social media stuff that they always do ahead of events is brilliant. And I get as much airtime, as it were, on social media as somebody incredibly famous, like Cressida Cowell today. Can't believe you've learned how to train your dragon, Emma. That's amazing.
My dragon is now well trained.
Exactly. So yeah, it's fantastic in that respect. It's a tremendously egalitarian shop. You go in there and you are treated as an author. You're treated like royalty, whether you're like me, a kind of mid-lister, or whether you're somebody really famous.
But I think that works both ways. I mean, as you said, you contacted us, you arranged that book tour, and you were championing Welsh bookshops just as much as trying to let them know about your new book. And I think, as you say, Amy read the first proof and was really kind of championing. And we've gone on from there. As you say, it is a whole community. My mother is not happy that she's on holiday for next week's event.
I saw her today.
To the point where she tried to get Alice to change the dates, despite the fact next week is publication week. We have chairing this event because, Alice has been chaired by numerous people, including me. Chairing the event is Gavin, a first-time events chair. But Gavin started coming to our events. He is a customer who's turned into a very dear bookshop friend and a close friend of Alice's now. You meet up for coffee every couple of weeks, which is fantastic.
Today, in fact, yes. Partly to talk about the launch event next week, but no, it's amazing.
So it is a community, but I think Alice has really worked hard to get her books out there, but also in the correct way, because we do get approached by a lot of authors. And often we do not, decide to stock their books for a huge number of reasons. We have a page on our website that's specifically targeted to debut authors or self-published authors. That's not to say we don't stock self-published books and we don't stock new books at all. We really champion debut authors, but they have to fit in with our stock. They have to fit in with what we can sell. We have to feel that we can press this book in somebody's hands and find a home for it, and that isn't always the case. And there's certain times where we can't take a book on because it's not supplied through a wholesaler, which makes it really tricky for us to be able to deal with all of the hundreds of other invoices that we have to deal with, all of that boring stuff.
Yeah.
So from a very practical level, it's difficult to champion certain authors, or the subject matter might not be kind of something that we feel that we can really get behind. So and we only have so much space as well, even to the point where sometimes there's not any title on the spine of a book, or there have been times where there's been no ISBN, and we just can't do that.
Yeah.
So Alice approached this brilliantly by coming to us, doing a huge amount of social media, doing a huge amount of talking to other bookshops. So, when I went to see my friends Matt down in Chepstow Bookshop, or Andy at Rossiter's, or Mel down in Griffin, we all know each other. So we all know Alice, because she's created that herself. She's worked incredibly, incredibly hard at making sure that we all know about her. And at the time when Alice was coming around on her bookshop tour, there weren't, and there still aren't, that many books in English set in Wales. There are tons of books set in Scotland, tons of books set in London, tons of books set in Cornwall, but there's not a huge amount set in Wales, and we really kind of need that. People come to visit the bookshop, and they come from all over the world, and we want to be able to press something into their hands that they can take a little bit of Welsh literature home with them. So that's incredibly important as well. So there's lots of bits that Alice has done incredibly well herself. So I still feel this is very much a team effort when we talk about events and how we promote events and getting new audience members in. Yes, we put things out on social media, we have a newsletter, we have lots of ways of promotion. But Alice works with us on that. And again, that isn't always the case when we have author events. Often it's a case of, well, I'm coming on this date, and they don't really help us help them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, then it is difficult to get an audience, and it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time. And sometimes there might be 10 people in the room, but those 10 people are your new readers, and they will go and tell a friend about your book, and they'll go and tell a friend about the event that they've just been to. And that's how we build a community.
Absolutely.
It takes time, it takes a bit of patience.
It does.
It takes quite a lot of hard work.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. It does. But, I did an event in Gloucester Library last autumn, and the librarian rang me and she said, "Oh, you might want to cancel because we've only sold 6 tickets." And I said, "That's fine. I will come and talk to one person. If one person can be bothered to buy a ticket to come and hear me speak about my books, I am coming to talk to that person." Because as writers, I know it would be lovely to be on the bestseller lists, but, most of us can't be. And what we all want is to be read. And what booksellers like Emma do brilliantly is get our books into the hands of the right people. This is the beauty of independent bookshops. Their customers aren't just customers; they're a community. They are known by the booksellers, and even if they're visitors and they come in, like Emma's just illustrated, what did you recently watch on Netflix? Or she would say, what book are you reading at the moment? What have you recently enjoyed? And they will get my books into the right hands, not into the hands of people who are going to go, "Oh, well, I suppose that was all right, but I didn't really enjoy it." She's going to give it to people who she knows are going to find something that they really love about my books, which is, you can't buy that, frankly. That is just sheer bookselling genius.
I don't often get called a genius. Say it again.
You are. Come on. God. As you've said, I know a lot of booksellers now. I know genius when I see it.
Mad genius from time to time.
The other thing that we do together, and Emma's been brilliant with me in this, is, as I said, she used to run Crickhowell Book Festival. And I started, 8-9 years ago now, I started a Welsh crime writers collective called Crime Cymru to try and get the Welsh crime writers to work together, to market our books together, and to promote, like Emma said, to promote books, ours mostly written in English, that are set in Wales, because there aren't very many. And Emma was kind enough to invite Crime Cymru to the Crickhowell Book Festival several years in a row, I seem to recall, Emma. We did whole days of crime, we were the crime aspect of the festival.
Absolutely.
And Emma saw me doing some interviews. And then she started asking me to interview people for her, for the bookshop. So now, whenever she's got anybody who she thinks I might like, she'll get on the phone and say, "We've got such and such coming. Would you like to come and interview them?" Or occasionally I'll say to her, I really think it would be brilliant to have these two people together, and I would really like to come and interview them. Shall we do that?
And I'll say, yes, we will, Alice. But,
She does.
my audience get bored of me always chairing events, and it's good for them to have, a bit of variation as well. But Alice is a brilliant event chair. But it's another way of making sure that authors get to meet other authors. And I think in your case, Alice, it was Anne Cleves that you were particularly thrilled to meet. She's such a champion of fellow authors.
She really is. She's amazing.
She is. She's brilliant. And you two had such a wonderful event together. It was a really warm, thoughtful, just a hug in an event. It really was. And sometimes, I know that you're a bit of a fan of people's works, and it was interesting. It's not all just crime. I mean, one of the first events that you chaired for me was Joanna Trollope.
Yes, gosh, that was
because you just happened to mention you were a fan.
Yes, absolutely. So you said, "Oh, would you like to interview her then?" Oh gosh, some serious work went into that. Well, serious work always goes into all my interviews. To be honest, it doesn't matter who it is. But and it's great because I get to meet and fangirl over people that I probably wouldn't meet otherwise. I mean, I was always going to meet Anne, I guess, at different festivals. But I've now interviewed her twice for you, or 3 times, Emma, I can't remember.
Twice, I think, and then you've also other bookshops have asked you to chair off the back of that.
Her. That's right, I've interviewed her for Matt. So now, we went on holiday. My partner and I went on holiday to the Northeast, and we went and had coffee with Anne. And she's asked me to chair an event with her at the festival that she is part of running, Bay Tales, up in Whitley Bay next June. So, it all rolls on all through the kind of all through your life as an author. It's one thing leads to another, and it's absolutely brilliant. And because of Emma, I now know loads of other booksellers around the country because she said, "Oh, you're going there. Go and meet my friend such and such." And I do, and they say, "Oh, Emma, she's amazing. Yes, let's do some things together."
Okay.
Well, it works in all ways. I mean, you mentioned Bay Tales. So when you were up in Northumberland, I said you must go and meet Helen from Fora Books. She's absolutely one of my favourite people. And I will be at Bay Tales being a guest bookseller because Helen came to help me with Green Man. I've been up to help her with Annick Literary Festival. And I thought, I quite fancy Bay Tales. So when Alice told me that she was going up, we started planning a road trip. Thinking, okay, fine, we'll go together then. It is one of those industries that you can very easily introduce people to one another. And it doesn't matter if you're geographically distant. There's always that creative collaboration. And I always love those two words together, that creative collaboration, because, as I say, every conversation leads to new opportunities and new ideas. And, let's do this. And I didn't know you knew that. And on and on. So we will probably be together at Bay Tales with Anne Cleves.
Be great.
It will be great.
Amazing. Well, what I'm getting is the sense that Alice, you described Bookish and what Emma's created is like very much a community, but it sounds like a community that sort of goes far beyond the bounds of the brick and mortar, bookshop that Bookish is, and sort of reaches far more people than that, as we were saying, kind of across the country, which just sounds amazing. And I guess
much so.
That's kind of the publishing community more than anything else, in terms of just all these independent bookshop owners and then authors kind of all in their orbit, knowing each other and kind of bonding, I guess, over just the shared love of literature.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Amazing. So we are about the time in the episode where I ship you both off and ask you, if you were stranded on a desert island with a single book, which book do you hope that it would be? Let's do Alice first. What have you got for us?
Okay, this is probably going to come as a surprise from a crime writer, but I am going to take Bridget Jones's Diary. Because on this desert island, I think I'd be a bit miserable. I'm not great without other people around. And Bridget Jones's Diary is the book that has made me laugh the most of anything I have ever read. And also, I didn't think I'd feel quite such an idiot as I made a mess of doing everything which I would have to do on the island as I accompanied Bridget through her life, making an awful pig's ear of everything. I think she would make me feel competent as I tried to weave things from palm leaves or catch a fish with a broken fingernail or something. So yes, I think I need to keep my spirits up. So that would be it.
If not competent, she'd at least make you feel like it was okay, because you can fail at things and still things can turn out okay in the end.
That's so well put. Well done. Absolutely. Yes. Why didn't I think of saying it like that?
Emma, which book would you hope to have with you?
You know what? This is the worst question to ask me. And I'm really struggling. I'm flip-flopping between so many different titles. I'm thinking, am I allowed to take the collected works of an author? Because if I was allowed to do that, then I'm not allowed to do that.
Cheating.
If you reckon it could be bound into one copy, then I could potentially allow it.
I don't know then. Because I was thinking, I could go with food writing, but I was thinking, no, but to get the ingredients and that would just be torture. So I'm going to go with a bit of a left of field one. And I'm going to go with Shades of Grey by Jasper Fforde. Not 50 Shades of Grey, Shades of Grey. And Jasper did say that, his sales did rocket after the publication of the second book.
We take those.
Just because I came across Jasper, a friend recommended him to me, and I love a bit of random dystopian. He defies categorization, really. I just find everything that he writes so imaginative. I love, when he talks about putting literary dares to himself and writing himself out of them. And I think this is it. I mean, it is completely bonkers dystopia, but there's so much cleverness in it. And I think that it would, utterly transport me out of my predicament being stuck on a desert island, which I would like to escape quite quickly and get back to my books.
Okay, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. That sounds really interesting. The idea of one writing themselves into a sort of literary corner and then finding a way out.
Yeah,
seems daunting as a writer, but
with all sorts of things. I mean, he has a nursery crime series, which is crime noir, but set in the nursery world. And talks about, the thermodynamics of an egg. Was Humpty Dumpty pushed or was he shot? And, temperatures of porridge in the Fourth Bear, and how he proves that somebody else did it because of the temperature of porridge. And it reads like crime noir, but you're still dealing with an egg.
Right. Okay.
I think this is bonkers, but also it makes complete sense. How does he do this?
Sounds absolutely insane.
Absolutely. And he has legions of fans. During COVID, we did one of the very first online events. Hodder just kind of went, yeah, you do it. And we had 500 people online, and it was book and tickets. So I was internationally shipping all of these books off to every corner of the globe, because his fan base is also absolutely insane. But he lives just up the road from me. He lives just outside Hay on Wye. So kind of did come in and socially distant signing in return for some Chelsea buns. So
well, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a regular currency at the bookshop, or?
Yeah, sweet treats, absolutely.
Okay, right.
Yeah, I'm sure I've given Alice, Welsh cakes in the past.
You definitely have.
Today, Cressida was, a vegan flapjack from local. Yeah, so yeah, it is. I think authors and booksellers both live off both tea and biscuits or cake.
Yeah, there's definitely something about books and baked goods going hand in hand.
There really is.
Yeah, definitely. I've just remembered, Emma, you did launch the third book in my Tivy Valley series because you did it online.
I did it online.
As part of Books at Home with 4 Indies, yeah.
That's right, yeah, that was a bonkers time.
Yeah, that was a bonkers time. And my son and daughter-in-law, well, now daughter-in-law, then his girlfriend, were living with us at the time through lockdown, and he interviewed me.
Oh, God, yes,
I
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I'm sorry that I didn't remember that. We did about 500 of those online events with, so Helen, who I spoke to about earlier from Forum, and then Sue from Lingham's and Carrie from Booker, and we just got together and we did that together. And
it was genius.
we launched a lot of books over that summer, well, even that 6-month period, and we had everybody from Floella Benjamin to Gordon Brown on, because there wasn't any, there wasn't much out there in terms of other options online, which is insane. But what a time!
What a time it was!
What a time indeed! And we've all forgotten what it was like beforehand.
Oh, God.
Next up, I've got some questions about the origins of the two of you. Sort of asking about how you guys and the bookshop got to where it is now and where you guys are now. That will all be in the extended episode on patreon.com/rightandwrong. Because Alice has snuck in and just put them in the shelves.
Yeah.
You know what? That has happened. I haven't bought this book.
Amazing.
Funny.
That brings us to the end of the interview. So thank both of you so much for coming on the podcast and chatting with me, telling me all about everything that you two are both up to, the Hunters Club, the new book that Alice has got coming out, and everything that's going on with Bookish and that. It sounds amazing. It's been so fun chatting with the two of you.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
Jamie, it has been fun. I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it very much too. Thank you very much for inviting us.
It's absolutely my pleasure. And for anyone listening, if you want to keep up with what Alice and Emma are doing, your best bet for Emma is to follow the Bookish socials. You can find them on Twitter at BookishCrick, on Instagram and TikTok at BookishCrickhowell, or the website book-ish.co.uk. You can follow Alice on Instagram, Blue Sky and Facebook at Alice Hawkins Author, or on her website alicehawkins.co.uk. And to support this podcast, like, follow and subscribe, join the Patreon for ad-free extended episodes, and check out my other podcasts, The Chosen Ones and other Tropes. Thanks again to Alice and Emma, and thanks to everyone listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Shout out time. One of my amazing patrons, Lee Foxton, is querying their debut novel. It's a family drama, commercial fiction along the lines of Jojo Moyes and David Nichols. Fingers crossed, I am rooting for you. Good luck.